In this episode of Mighty Car Mods,
we're putting a sound actor changer on the... No, we're not. We're not doing that. What are we doing?
Martin, it's the worst kept secret in Mighty Car Mods history.
No, but...
It is time...
Do you remember what you said?
What?
Do you remember what you said? Do you remember this?
You can quote me on this later. I'm not going to turbocharge it. Oh, I changed my mind since then. Where's the purity in a disgusting turbocharger?
Take it back.
Where is the purity, Martin? There's
back.
no purity. This car is meant to be a pure driver's car. That was just a dream, Martin.
Was it?
That came from the place of Evos and S2000s.
Or your car was too slow and you decided you had to fix it, which is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all, but today, people, we're turbocharging the BRZ and we're gonna show you how to do it. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. It has been a long time coming, but now...
The inevitable.
The inevitable is going to happen. Eventually,
BRZ
you want more fast, and more fast is happening today.
What's missing?
What's missing?
Look at what's missing.
Absolutely everything.
From this car?
While there's been wheels and tyres and lowering and sway bars and stereo and body kit and all this kind of stuff, under here...
What's missing?
Not a whole lot has changed.
What's missing? Power. People.
That's right.
Power is missing, and it can be achieved with the help of a little thing that looks like a snail.
That's right. Well, it can be achieved in a couple of different ways, Martin. You could go nitrous, you could go supercharged, or you could actually just do what needs to be done, and that's what we do because we're in the business of hobbying, doing what needs to be done.
Getting it done.
And that is
completing the task. What? What?
What?
We're
turbocharging the BRZ.
I didn't read my script.
There is no script. We make this up as we go. We're turbocharging it. That's what we're doing today. Let's put your golden hat on and dive in and go on a magical journey with us. We're going to show you how to turbocharge your car. And you can do it in a weekend, or you could do it over the school holidays, or if you had some people who were pretty handy and a couple of them were going to help you, one day. So when you're turbocharging your car, obviously one of the most important things you need is a turbocharger. Here we have a Garret Gtx 2860R Gen 2, and over here is the kit that actually makes it fit on the BRZ, and this kit was made and developed by Mike from SME. Thank you very much for coming down. And he supplied this kit for us. So can you give us a quick run through? I've got a couple of knives here so we can do an epic unboxing. Can you give us a bit of a run through of like what it is that we're going to see here and this kit that you've made? Show us what you've done.
So 475 horsepower turbo. So
that'll do.
We take the turbo, put a custom actuator bracket, and that's basically gets to fit directly to the engine bay with all no clearance issues.
Look at that.
VB and rear housing.
Amazing. So that rear housing's been changed because this is a factory turbo replacement for an SR20, like for a 180SX, but it's been adapted for the BRZ.
This GTX Gen 2 by Garret is the update to the original GTX series, but with a bunch of improvements, including updated compressor wheel aero, resulting in up to 20% more horsepower than the original. As well as the turbo, we're going to need a bunch of other parts as well, including an upgraded higher capacity sump with a turbo oil return, an air filter that's going to fit inside the front bumper, an equal length turbo manifold which will feed our turbo the good stuff, a turbo dump pipe which will feed into our existing performance exhaust that we've already installed, a silicone hose kit, intake pipe, and a black front mounted intercooler which can also be reversed to silver. Once it's installed, tuning the whole system is going to be our mate Tyler from PVS, who runs a shop that is dedicated to all things 86 and BRZ.
We tuned this one up before, and at the hubs made about 130 kilowatts.
Yep.
What's your expectation with a kit like this? What do you think we'll end up with?
I reckon sort of anywhere from 180 to 200, depending on how much boost we run. But being it's stock injectors and all that, we can't push it too hard anyway. So.
Okay, and that's on petrol?
Yep, on 98.
You can also go ethanol as well if you want, but fuel system mods to do that?
Injectors, some basic stuff. It depends how hard you want to go, but generally speaking, injectors sort of get you the first level.
Is the power limit then the engine? Because I mean,
pretty much.
It's a Subaru engine at the end of the day. what's the limiting factor with these things?
More the rods, I
Yeah?
find. Yeah, like they have a tendency to snap rods, and it's more the torque. If you're making a heap of torque, that's what'll kill them. If you're making power sort of more at the top end, they seem to last a little longer. So generally the bottom end's the weak link.
Because these things are quite revvy, and as we know, they make all that power up the top, so
Yeah.
you're just sort of adding to it.
Pretty
Is
much.
what you're saying, if you try and bring the power on lower down the revs, which would make it feel more torquey.
That's right.
Someone's got to
Yeah,
give.
something's got to give. Yeah.
Okay.
So you rob Peter to pay Paul. But on the track, it's definitely faster if you have it more at the top end anyway.
Yeah, where you're having all the fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, all right.
The goal, Marty, is to continue doing what we were doing before with trying to make the mods as similar as possible. And I know that this kit can make loads of power with ethanol and all that kind of stuff, but the STI makes 180 kilowatts, so 180 kilowatts is what I want. And I know that we can tune this to 200, 220, 250 higher, but 180 kilowatts is the goal, because then we've got two blue two-door Subarus that have same tyres, same kind of setup, both making the same power. And then we can hit the track, hit the street, Martin, even. We can hit Church Street, Parramatta. But we both need bigger front mounts / top mounts.
And chromies.
Bumper off, sump off, airbox out, fake sound generator thing gone.
Yeah, unfortunately, we've got to get rid of that.
damn.
I wanted to keep it.
Damn.
But it's got to go.
Cool. All right, let's get it up. There's no hoist here. We're going old school.
I know, far out
On your back,
back
dude.
and take it.
Yeah.
The first step in this turbo conversion is jacking up the car. If it's too low, you can use some ramps or planks of wood to get the jack under. Then make sure that it's securely on some jack stands. You don't need to remove the wheels, but it does make access just a little bit easier. The first item going straight to the bin is the factory intake system. And then the next step is to remove the whole front bar, which sounds like it should be kind of simple, but on this car is pretty detailed, with over 1,000 little clips, screws and connectors. Okay, it's not actually 1,000, but compared to your typical JDM Nugget, which is what we're used to working on, there is way more involved in getting this off. But finally, the thing is gone, and that means it's time to start talking about front mount strategy.
So Tyler, the front bar's off. Now all of this stuff, what goes and what stays?
Yep, so we've got to take the little air deflectors off, which sort of drive air, I guess, direct it into the radiator, which they're a good idea, but that's where our intercooler piping's got to go. So it's got to go. And we retain this bottom cover, which is where our intercooler will sit, but also we'll attach a bracket to the crash bar so it's still fixed.
Yep. And then bracket on top as well,
Yeah,
right?
sorry, it's bracket on top,
Yep.
and the base sits on there. It just makes it a bit, gives it a bit more support.
While we keep pulling the front of the car apart in preparation for our front mount and piping, I'm going to get underneath the car and start undoing the exhaust system.
And up top, we need to access a vacuum source which is under the intake manifold.
So if we just sit that there, all I got to do is, there's a hose under here. See that?
Yeah, right.
That's your vacuum hose.
Yep.
So what happens with a lot of guys that boost them, some of them don't have a blow-off valve, some of these kits.
Yeah.
So there's hoses, if they pop off, same with these ones under here.
I didn't even know that lifted off.
Yeah, it's a bit of, so if they blow off under boost, they create a massive vacuum leak. It doesn't hurt the engine, but the car will stall.
And
People
just runs
freak
like-
out. Yeah,
and
it
you
runs
don't
like
know
shit.
because you can't see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I didn't even know that was a cover.
When you like if I was to do it properly, I would honestly take that off blanket, and then we run that into a catch can,
Oh yeah, cool.
and then that one into a catch can.
Yep.
For the purpose of this, we're going to run it back into the intake.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that, but
Especially for as mild as this is going to be as
Yeah,
well.
it'll be
also
fine.
you'd expect to not have too many blow-by issues on
no,
something that is mild.
they're pretty good.
While we've got the throttle body removed, we're going to clean it up. This one has quite a lot of carbon buildup, which is not mad. Some throttle body cleaner and a soft rag will sort it out.
The headers are about to come out. They've only been on there for a couple of weeks, but now there they go,
Yay!
and they're gone.
We actually made some decent power with these unequal length headers when we were naturally aspirated, but now they're gone forever. We're dropping the oil and then drilling the holes that are going to mount the intercooler into place. Next up, I'm removing the BRZ's factory sump, which is also going to be banished to the land of naturally aspirated slowness.
So this here is the factory sump. This here is the SME sump that comes with our kit. So this here holds around 1.5 litres more oil. It's also baffled, which is really good for track use, which is what's going to be going on with this. And this has got the return for the turbo. So obviously the turbo is getting cooled with coolant and lubricated with the oil. And that's going to be coming down here, flying back into there. And that there just bolts directly on, which is what I'm about to do in a second. But Martin very kindly is down there scraping all the goo off the block. And then this one will go on. And then I will put on the exhaust parts. And then underneath the car, we're pretty much done. And then we get to the good stuff up the top.
A baffled sump is designed to keep the oil pickup fed with oil during hard driving, hectic G-forces and inertia, like track use or the KFC drive-through.
All right, the sump's all cleaned up. It's time to hit it with some brake cleaner. Do you have any WD-40 specialist parts and brake cleaner there, mate?
I sure do, Martin. Let me just send that under the car to you, mate.
Thanks, mate.
There you go, mate. There's that WD brake and parts
Just going to
cleaner
spray
from the
it.
specialist range.
The parts are so clean now, mate.
All right, it's an exciting time because it's time to test fit the front mount. And look at that. That's awesome. So you have two options. You can either go black or we can spin it and go for the defect edition, which would look like this, which does kind of look cool and tells everybody that you're turbo, but I don't need to tell everybody that I'm turbo. I only need to tell Marty and he already knows.
Except you're on the internet telling everyone that you're turbo.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, no one will notice me on the street. There it is. That looks amazing. How are you going down there, Martin?
Good, man. I'm just cleaning off the rest of this gasket. It's one of those things where if you take your time and do it properly, you don't get sump leaks later on, and sump leaks are annoying because then you've got to pull all your manifolds off again.
Yes.
So do it once and do it right. It's almost clean.
So once that's cleaned up, new sump goes on, and then what's next, Tyler? What are we doing then?
Lunch.
Yes.
Good man.
Now, once that's on, we'll let the sump obviously dry, then header's on.
Yep.
While someone's plumbing up all the pipe work off the intercooler and putting all the little brackets on, yeah, we can start bolting the headers on and start plumbing up all the turbo lines and all that sort of stuff. So.
Awesome. So how long between now and the time we're actually putting the turbo in place? How long do you reckon? Take a guess.
Oh, I'm going to say a few hours.
When replacing your sump, it's important to remove all the old schmoo so that the new sump doesn't leak when you apply the new schmoo. A blade and some patience is all that's required. Then wipe it and your new sump with some parts cleaner. Then apply an even bead of schmoo onto the new sump, which will squish down when you bolt it up to the bottom of the engine. We can reuse the factory oxygen sensors which screw directly into our new manifold.
Now we can install our aftermarket sump, and once that's done, we can finish off installing the exhaust components down here, and then everything underneath the BRZ should be done. This BRZ has continued to impress me with its Lego-like modability. It's fairly straightforward and rewarding, and I think for many people that are getting into car modification and track days, this is a perfect platform to start.
Underneath the car, we are finished. We have schmooed up the sump. Thank you very much for that,
And
Martin.
it's curing. That's probably our only time limit, isn't it?
Yes.
We have to wait for that to fully cure before we can start it.
That is curing. A new wrapped exhaust section is now on, ready to go. What's next?
We've got to tap in the oil feed for the turbo. So
And
we're
that's-
going to...
that's this little one right
yep,
here,
so
isn't
we'll
it?
take out the little blanking plug. It's
Yep.
pretty tight. Very tight. Extremely
Yeah.
tight. Yes!
How good's that sound?
Far out, that is tight.
Yep, got
Yep.
a
You
nice little burner.
coming out otherwise, do you?
No, and so this is where we're going to get our oil feed
Yeah,
for the turbo.
exactly.
And the turbo's mounting on top of here.
Exactly, yep.
With a support bracket here.
Yep, to the top of the pulley.
Yep.
And once we got that on, then we can start basically feeding our pipe work in, and
Okay.
then we're pretty much done. We're getting
So
close.
is turbo going on now?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
So
That's
fast.
crazy.
Is this the easiest turbocharging we've ever done in our whole entire existence?
Well, I reckon.
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it's having a kit that works and fits,
yeah.
that's bolt-on. We haven't really been able to bolt on any bolt-on stuff in the past, so this is a
No,
treat.
you're right.
And obviously having you here to help us because you've done them so many times before is a
There's
treat
a few
as
little
well.
tweaks here and there, but generally speaking, you're right.
good.
And Mike's done a lot of work to get that to happen. So
Yeah.
there's been a few little revisions, but yeah, they really are a good bolt-on kit.
Oh, he's done hundreds of them, hasn't he?
Oh,
So
yeah.
He knows what he's doing
Yeah.
by now.
No, very good.
That's it. That's our oil feed coming out of there. Are we placing the turbo into position? Don't even tell me that's what we're doing, because I'm just going to need to have a moment.
Yeah, pretty close. I reckon.
The turbo's going on. I'm going to go hold it for you. I'm going to pick it up.
The dump pipe is attached to the exhaust housing of the turbo using studs which are wound in using the double nut technique. Don't Google it. Next we can get our turbo oil feed from the oil pressure sensor fitting using a T. So easy. The dump pipe can be bolted on and it's ready to be installed.
Okay, so now it is actually turbo time. Tyler's just put the bracket on, which is going to help support the turbo as well. The dump pipe, we just insert that down there, and that's going to be matching up with the performance exhaust that is already on the car. It's just probably going to need a little bit of a fandangle to get it down there. There we go. Oh, there goes the V-band that
That's
we
all right.
probably need to be on there. And, oh, we're close. There it is.
That's it, pretty much.
That is cool.
Then we'll do the V-band up and she'll be tight and we'll bang that bracket on and
Oh man, this is awesome.
going nowhere.
It's like Subaru or Toyota or whoever made this part of the car just wanted us to do this.
100%.
They were like,
Should have come out this way.
we're not
factory.
doing it. That's what everyone says, they should have come out
Yeah.
like this way. But now they can. You can DIY it out
Yep.
this way, the way it should be, which is awesome. All right, cool. So bracket on or V-band on, and then I can get down and do the exhaust.
Yep, that's it. So I'll just take that little bolt out so we can bolt the bracket on.
Yep.
And then we'll do the V-band, a little bit of jiggling and we'll
Yep.
get it in.
Cool, then I'll jump down and do the
Yep.
exhaust. Good
Perfect.
stuff. Exciting times. It bolts on, people. We found a bolt-on thing that bolts on one.
Amazing.
It's amazing. We haven't experienced that
Oh,
before.
it's pretty rare actually.
It's amazing.
The turbo is on, people, and what you're witnessing here is the imminent defeat of the Subaru flagship STI on the track. Yes, everybody said the BRZ needed a turbo. Well, except for me, I said that it didn't. But here I am, standing before you, or standing before a microphone, telling you that I was wrong, because this is how the BRZ should have been all along. And now we just have to finish the install and go chop some STIs. Next up, it's time to install the intercooler piping. Again, because these are silicone hoses, it means no cutting and a really quick and easy install.
So these silicone pipes are actually all custom made for this kit. And the good thing about using silicone is that because it's malleable like this, it makes it way easier to install for kind of a simple kit like this. But it also means it's quick as well for getting things through. And it's also just quiet because you don't have things bashing on stuff all over the place. And you just got to make sure, I guess with silicone, make sure it's not rubbing on stuff right.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah, you don't want any sharp edges. Obviously, like anything, it'll rub through. But yeah, but generally they crush up. So when you put the bumpers back on, you haven't got corners poking out because these things do have a bit of an issue with that.
Yes.
With some of the other kits. Yeah, so it's so much easier, user friendly, less swearing. It's really good.
Yeah. And obviously so much quicker than trying to make your own pipes, because we've here made our own kind of kits and we're cutting stuff and Marty's welding stuff, just throwing hose through there, and especially for the kind of power we're making, it's perfect. So the silicone pipes are really maneuverable, which is really good for install, but what's making it even a little bit easier is using some of this WD-40 Specialist silicone lubricant. So just putting a little bit in the end of each pipe like that, and it means that when we're putting it all together, it makes it easier. The other thing that I'm doing, because I want to keep this like super stealthy, is down the front here, on these, we're painting these black because the bar, it will be open a little bit here, and if someone's looking, they'll be able to tell that this is turbocharged. So we're just giving that a quick little one of them are black. And that means once the bar's on, you won't be able to see at all that there's any turbocharger there. I'm using the black side because I want it to look as stealthy as possible. And there it is. So front mount is now plumbed up. We've got some intake to do and blow off valve.
A little bit of coolant line.
Oh, the coolant line, which basically the coolant is from the back of the engine here. We're basically using the turbo as a T-piece, I guess. Not a T-piece, but it's going in line. We're basically joining off the turbo, so coming out the back of the engine here, through the turbo, and then back into where the factory return of that would be.
That's right, yep. And it all just pushes on, and it's got a nice little fitting on there, and plug and play.
It's amazing. We're going to boost in minutes.
And with that, the actual turbo conversion component of this project is done. Now we just have to put the front of the car back together again.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. This life is all I ever needed. We dreamed of California sun. Your love is all I ever wanted. Now it's gone. Now it's gone. I call you on the payphone.
And that there is a beautiful thing.
We used to drive until
It's worth noting for those that are new to turbocharging that a proper turbo conversion is more than just installing a snail and an exhaust. You also want to make sure your car is well serviced, has the right fluids, is running a quality set of tyres, which will be the best bang for buck performance upgrade you can do, and you want to also consider upgrading your brake and suspension components to cater for the increase in power. Depending on your specific project, your power goals, and the kind of driving that you're going to be doing, your factory braking system may be okay. But if you're unsure, check with someone who's qualified. Next up, we're changing the oil.
Changing the oil filter and obviously changing the oil. We've done a few track days and stuff, you know, in its previous version because we took the sump off, we had to drain the oil anyway. Now, here's a bit of contentious, a bit of internetness. So in the manual it says use it says use 0W20.
Yep.
We're using a 5W40. Can we have a quick chat about, I know at Parramatta Vehicle Services you do services of these as well. Do you ever use 020?
Never.
Even
never.
a stock car?
No.
Never.
We have seen a few engine failures from stock oil, and oil consumption dramas.
Yep.
Even the dealers had it, which that I probably don't tell you about, but it was a thing. So, yeah. So generally speaking, a 530 for a normally aspirated version. If you're tracking it, I'd still probably go a 40 weight because you get high oil temps. So over 100 degrees, every 10 degrees above 100, so 100, 10, 120, your viscosity drops 10 points of viscosity. So a 550 at 110 would now be a 540.
Right.
And so on and so forth. So
a hot 540 is a 530.
at 110. And if you're doing a track day, you're going to be minimum 120.
Changes the properties of the oil
Right.
when you start getting it that hot. Because when you're just driving to the shops, you're not really getting your oil that
No,
hot.
that's
are you?
right.
Like
That's
you're
right.
doing 10 laps to Sydney Motorsport Park at
Mate.
over 100 k's
Should
an
be-
average speed.
Yeah.
Like you're really giving it. And these things sit at $7,000 the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. And also you lose a little bit of oil pressure with these with when the temperature goes over 100. We've logged that and we found you start to lose oil pressure as well. So
This is stuff you've worked out through testing.
yeah, just from testing on our own stuff. So
Apparently, if you go on the side of this, it's meant to pour better. Someone on the internet said, Martin, do you reckon it's true?
I reckon it's 100% true. There you go.
Thank
So
you.
we've got a bigger,
Comments?
we've got a high capacity sump now too. So we'll use. This is a 6 litre. We'll probably use almost all of it.
You pretty much, yeah.
'Cause
What do they
you
take
bang
normally?
5
4 or
litres.
7?
No, about 5.5 with the filter.
5.5,
Yeah,
are they?
well, that's
Okay.
what I seem to get in, or just over 5 anyway.
Yep. So how much of this should we bang in there? This 6?
Look, I always start with 5 and then start it, check it.
Dip it.
Yep. So it's always easy to fill it rather than take it out.
Cool. Now, Tyler's also bought his laptop today, so we can actually flash a tune on there.
Yep.
We will dyno tune it properly and have a drive around on the street and do all that kind of stuff, but because he's done so many of these before, there'll be a kind of a base map that we can put on there just so we can get around. And so we'll be able to start it today and hear some turbo noises.
You
Which
can.
is pretty exciting.
You can flutter it all up, dose it.
That's so quick and easy.
Yeah.
Not even a full day, man.
Yeah. 3 of us, though.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we helped you or slowed you down.
No,
Sometimes
you
that's
guys, no, you guys are good.
With the last of the oil going in, we're doing a final check on the dipstick, and then we are officially done. The car can come down off the jack stands, ready to start for the first time. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and also any pets that are out there watching, we have ourselves a turbo BRZ. The next thing we need to do is load in a base map so that we can start the car. Unlike our other projects that have had a standalone ECU, the BRZ is tuned by remapping the factory computer. We'll drop in a tune so that the car can run, but we're going to focus on the performance tune once we hit the dyno.
So we are at this very exciting part of the day where it is time to turn the key, or in this case, because it's a BRZ, which is better than some of the POV Spec 86s, not turn the key, but
so
use
snobby.
the push button start. Ouch! Here it goes, people.
Turbo noises.
Turbo noises. Hopefully no leaks. Here we go.
Sounds almost factory. I reckon that V-band's got the tiniest leak in it, but otherwise it sounds pretty good.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll let it heat up and then we'll readjust it.
Yep.
So there it is. We have turbocharged the BRZ with the 3 of us. We managed to do it in 1 day, which was awesome.
Yep.
Thank you so much for your
No worries,
expertise.
guys.
I'm
Cheers,
sure
mate.
it would have taken a bit longer if we didn't have all your little know-hows and all your little tricks. Now we just got to let the smells burn off.
Yep.
Idle it a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Recheck that V-band, and I
Check
reckon
the
you'd
leaks
be.
and stuff?
Yep. We had a bit of visual for oil leaks, and all looks spot on. So.
Awesome.
Yep.
So
all
from
good.
here on in, basically, next week we'll go and get on the dyno and just finalise. It does have a tune in there now, so we can drive around and so we can move the car around. But next week we'll actually go for the power. Like I said at the start of this video, we're not going for maximum crazy power. I want 180 kilowatts at the wheels because that's what he has, and I think that's just kind of makes it a pretty cool little battle when we get to that. When we go back to the track again. And the STI gets chopped by the BRZ.
Probably.
That's it, man.
That's it. That was so easy.
That was amazing.
Amazingly
And actually,
enjoyable.
that SME kit bolted on. So much stuff we've had here over the years. It's like bolt on, bolt on. It doesn't bolt
Yeah.
on. It bolted on.
No, this
Bolts on,
one.
but you've got to customise these 10 things.
Yeah, 100%.
None of that.
No, this is really good. He's done a really good job, revision on revision, but like all the new kits, awesome, really good.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, there it is. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Mighty Car Mods. Of course, if you want to support the show, you can get some merch from mightycarmods.com, like this shirt,
Or this shirt.
that shirt,
that
or
hat.
key tags and hats and all sorts of cool stuff. You can get that at mightycarmods.com. For now, we're going to push this out. We'll go get. Do you want to get some dinner?
Yeah, 100%.
What's your favourite food?
I do like Mexican.
Mexican.
Yeah.
How are we going to go in? 'Cause we
Mexican
won't all
it
fit in
is. Are we going in this? We can fit in
this.
this.
We cannot all fit in this.
Of course
That is
we can
the
fit
one
in
thing
this.
that my car
Let's
does
go get
better
some-
than yours.
No, we can fit in this.
I'm not getting
Should we
it.
take the STI? Let's
Yeah,
take
we
the
have
I
to.
think so.
Good idea. Let's take that.